Howdy, and welcome to HitFilm Express 2017. I'm Axel from HitFilm, and in this tutorial, we're going to look at some basic compositing techniques using a shot from Westworld to Yuma. Here's the shot we will be recreating, which hopefully doesn't actually look like a visual effects shot. If you are new to compositing, or filmmaking in general, then you may not realize how frequently this type of invisible visual effect is used in films, or how easily you can use them to improve your production value or to simply create shots that you couldn't actually film. I encourage you to download the project files that accompany this tutorial so you can follow along. In this shot, we have a building which looks great, but we weren't allowed to actually get up on the roof as it wasn't built for that. So our second element is our actor, who was filmed separately. To make it look like he is standing way up on that roof, though, we needed to match the camera angle. So he is standing on a ladder so we can get the camera down underneath him. In both of these shots, the sky is quite boring, but that also means that we have a nice even background to shoot against. That should help us cut out the elements we want, as we will see later on. Also, both these shots include trees that we don't want, so we're going to remove those. For the sky, I ended up using this photo of Port Townsend, Washington, which I took a couple of years back from the deck of the Coupeville Ferry. It has the sort of thin, wispy clouds the shot required. So, let's get started putting these all together. We will start with the building. In the Media panel of HitFilm, right-click that building clip and choose Make Composite Shot. In HitFilm, there are two types of timelines. The editor timeline is used to place your clips in sequence, one after another, and build your final project. The second type is a composite shot timeline, which is used to combine multiple layers and create a single shot, which is exactly the situation we have on our hands here. So, we make a composite shot, and our building video is added as the first layer. Now we will use a mask to remove everything except the building. There are three mask tools in the viewer of any composite shot. The rectangular and ellipse masks quickly create rectangular or circular shapes. The freehand mask tool is the one we will use. It lets us draw whatever shape we want by clicking to add control points wherever we need to. Click the freehand mask tool, then select the layer you want to add the mask to. Then click on the edge of the building to start masking. As we draw the mask, you can zoom in on the viewer using this menu or your mouse wheel to see what you are doing more accurately. And you can pan around in the viewer using the right mouse button. Proceed around the edge of the building, placing points at the corners and working around the smaller details. It doesn't really matter where you start, just carry on until you get back to where you started, then click the first point again to close the shape and complete the mask. If you need to fine-tune any of the mask points, just drag them to adjust their position. Once we have the mask done, we can add our new sky in behind it. So, find the Port Townsend sky image in the Media panel and drag that onto our timeline. If we drag it below our roof layer, it will be added below it. You can drag the layer names up and down to change the order of the layer stack. The sky in the image is a bit too high to fill our frame, so we need to move it down. All the controls for the position and size of a layer are found in its transform controls. These can be accessed on the timeline or in the controls panel. Switch back from our mask tool to the selection tool, then move the layer downward until only the sky is visible by dragging the green arrow in the viewer or by dragging on the values next to the position property. The first value is the x-axis from left to right, and the second value is the y-axis from top to bottom. Now for the third element, the character. Let's drag that clip onto the timeline and take a look. We could use masking to cut him out too, like we did with the building, but you will find if you try that approach that it is no fun. We need a lot more points to create a shape this complex, and the dude is moving, so we would need to reposition all of those points on every frame of the video. This is a process called rotoscoping, and it is still used a lot in visual effects work, but only when absolutely necessary. We will use another technique in this case called keying, which will save us a lot of time. You might be familiar with the use of green screens in filmmaking, which is a common type of keying where you select a specific color and remove it from the footage, usually green. In this footage, our sky doesn't have much color info though, but it is nice and bright. So we will use a different kind of keying called luminance keying that lets us select and remove the brightest areas of our footage. But first, we can quickly remove most of the footage using a mask. Use the rectangle mask this time, and just drag a rectangle around our actor. Make sure it's big enough that when the actor moves, he doesn't leave the mask. By removing most of the sky with the mask, it will make it easier to create a clean key, which we will do now. In the Effects panel, open the Keying folder and find the Luminance Key effect. Then drag it onto the actor layer. It will affect the layer right away, but not the way we want it to. By default, Luminance Keying is set up to remove black, so we want to change the key type to Key Out Brighter. Then, we can adjust the threshold to determine exactly how much will be removed. It helps to zoom in on the viewer so you can see the edges better while you dial that in. A threshold of 1 leaves everything, and as you lower that, more and more of the footage will be removed. The trick is to find the setting that removes everything you need it to, but not to go too far and remove part of your subject. I find that 0.6 works well for this shot. I'm going to pause for a second to point out that you have just used your first effect in HitFilm. There are 370 effects and presets in the Effects panel for a wide variety of different purposes, but the basic process for using all of them is the same as what we just did. Drag the effect you want onto the layer you want to apply it to, then adjust its controls to get the result you want. Getting back to our composite, we need to move our character layer below the building, reposition it, and resize it. These are techniques similar to what we did earlier, so you are familiar with them. Drag the layer name down below the building layer, open the transform properties and adjust the scale to shrink him down to better match the size of the building to around 70%, then reposition him so his toes are just visible over the edge of the building, like he's standing on the edge. His angle doesn't quite match the building though, if you look at the vertical siding. So let's edit the rotation property a bit until it does. You can change the rotation on the viewer by dragging the blue square handle, or by dragging the value in the controls. About 12 degrees is looking much better. Then adjust the position again so his feet are lined up properly with the edge. This is almost done. The bulk of the work is behind us, and all that remains is to fine-tune a couple of things. The edge of the roof is looking a bit harsh, and there are a couple of things we can do to help with that. First, in the mask controls for that roof layer, we can feather the edge of the mask a bit. Just 1 or 2 pixels is enough. We don't want the edge to look blurred, we just want it to blend ever so slightly with the sky behind it. The second thing we can do is add light wrap. At the top of the effects panel, there is a search box. You can type in the name of any effect, like light wrap, to find it quickly. Drag light wrap onto the roof layer, then double-click it to open its controls. Light wrap lets you choose another layer and wrap the brightness of that layer around the edges of your selection. So open the Source Layer menu and select the Port Townsend Sky layer. This takes the brightness of the sky and wraps it onto the edges of our roof. We want this effect to be quite subtle as well. The radius defines the width of the light wrap, so bring the radius down to 5 or 6 and set the opacity to 0.7. In many cases, it is the little adjustments like this that really make the difference in creating a convincing composite, and HitFilm includes powerful tools to help you dial these in. Since our character is facing to the left, the composition of the shot might look a little better if he was positioned over on the right side of the frame. Since each element of our shot is a separate layer, it's easy to adjust the composition however you like. If we want things more to the right, we can just select our roof layer and our man layer and shift them over. Easy. And there is our final shot. Let's watch it. That was easy, right? In just a few minutes, you finished this composite and learned the basics of masking, using effects, keying, and matching elements to create a new result. Now, if you switch back to the media panel, you will see our composite shot listed there along with our media clips. And just like you can drag media clips onto the editor to build your finished project, you can also drag composite shots onto the editor and sequence them with your video clips. So thanks for watching, and I hope you found this tutorial useful. Make sure to check out our other Westworld tutorials as well for more tips and training on using HitFilm Express 2017.